Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen out there all over this wonderful world.
All over the world tonight. All over the world. No?
Mm-hmm. Da-da-dum-da. La-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Yeah, anyway, it's a wonderful world and all that. Anyway, right, never mind. Never mind that. Listen, thanks very much, folks. There's loads of you tuning in already. We're getting a fantastic show tonight. We have the most wonderful harpist Becky Hill on with us. Really looking forward to that. So I hope you are looking forward to some wonderful music. Please do me... Dog, what are you doing? Please do me a favour and hit the share button as well, because the more the merrier. It's wonderful. Remember, we're out on 4 or 5 Facebook pages tonight, and we are on 4. We're on Twitter and we're on YouTube. So if you want to watch it on the big telly, go for it. YouTube, Tartan Tunes, we are there. We actually look
the show.
We actually look quite good on the big telly. I had a look once.
It's actually quite good because you can fit all of Peter on big tellies. The smaller ones struggles.
Thank you, Davey. Thanks for that.
Mind you,
I've put my summer shirt on tonight.
I've noticed that gastric band you got in Turkey has been doing doing wonders.
I wish. I couldn't afford a rubber band in Turkey. Never mind a gastric band. No. Anyway,
Peter.
Yes.
Are you not supposed to be like lying in a ditch with a hangover this weekend?
No. One, I'm teetotal for 10 years, so the hangover's out the window. But the other thing, it's Shetland Folk Festival this weekend, and it looks like it's been an utterly brilliant weekend. I haven't actually managed to get to it very much. In fact, anything. I was supposed to be playing yesterday on the Stratsterlenkill, the big white Norwegian tall ship. but suppose it broke down. Apparently, I didn't realise sail ships could break down. Hopefully, it had nothing to do with me playing on it. That they sabotaged the boat and kept it there. Anyway,
That's more likely.
It's a bit of a shame because I was quite looking forward to going on board. I thought that would have been quite nice. And they were going to give us Norwegian food, apparently, which would have been nice.
That's kind of why you shouldn't have got on it.
Yeah, maybe not right.
Salted.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, please send in your comments. Keep us really busy.
Yes.
We love seeing comments. We love seeing where you are in the world. And I noticed somebody on right early on there said something about 50. It was a bit cold in Canada or something. It was 50
Canada,
degrees.
yeah, it's Les.
Yeah, what's 50
Fahrenheit?
50 Fahrenheit? What's that in centigrade?
10.
Well, it's 4 here today, so stop moaning.
10's tropical.
Yeah, it's 4. I couldn't believe it. It was hailstones and snow showers yesterday in Shetland. You can tell that it's lambing time of the year. All the lambs are arriving and the snow showers arrive at the same time. So,
then you've got Mary, who says, I'm tuning in from La Paz in Mexico.
Oh, Mary. Dear.
How the other half lives.
You know, we're going to have to take Tartan Tunes on the road someday and go and see Mary in Mexico in her condo.
Good idea.
We could do a show from there. Derek says he was playing in Loch Lomond and it was freezing cold. Was that actually in the loch, Derek? Because that would be quite cold. That would be a bit cold. That would be chilly. So anyway, yeah. Missed a lot of the folk festival, but there's been good footage flying about.
Yeah, social media is a wonderful thing this year for you. And we're about to play a video from one of the concerts. And it's of two of our previous guests. Yeah. One is a Shetlander through and through.
Mm-hmm.
And the other is Michael Biggins.
That's Michael Biggins. Both winners. Well, Amy won the Young Musician this year.
Yep.
Michael won it in the past as well.
When?
Oh, I don't know. Don't ask me that.
Come
I struggle to know when the Battle of Bannockburn was, for goodness sake.
13, 16.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Biggins won it in 2021.
All right, okay. Right. It's cool to see all these piano players coming through. Anyway, they done this set at Mario yesterday, and it was a cracking
13, 14.
Two pianos back to back, a grand piano and an upright piano. And I don't think I've ever seen that done before. And I noticed somebody had a video on it, so I've sent it to you. And this is phenomenal player. Two piano players of the utmost top quality. And Becky was just speaking about it before we came on air there as well, that she'd noticed it somewhere as well. So here is Michael Biggins and Amy Lawrenson giving it Yeehaw.
The Julian Pianists.
An Eagle, and then a Martin O'Connor tune called Shop Street.
Yeah, pretty stunning playing that, isn't it? Absolutely stunning. These kind of tunes are difficult to play in accordions, never mind pianos.
Imagine trying to play it on a proper instrument, like the harp.
Pretty amazing. Great. And it's really nice to see the piano coming up through in the folk world, actually, because there really wasn't that much. It was just seen as an accompanying instrument, and that was the end of it kind of style thing. But really nice to see.
I think it really depends, because obviously you don't get much piano unless the background is either Cape Breton or Shetland, really.
Yeah. But it's nice to. I think it's nice to see it come through. It's really cool. Really good. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Absolutely wonderful to see all the comments coming in. I laughed at Mary Travis had put on a comment there saying she thought the dog was cute. The first day she saw the dog walking past our house, she thought it was a lamb. She thought somebody had a lamb in a lead taking it for a walk up the road, and it was just, you
get that in Aberdeen.
Yeah.
And Wales.
So no. Anyway, listen, we have got an utterly fantastic guest tonight. Oh, there's Big Rab over in Ireland watching us tonight as well.
Northern Ireland.
Oh, Northern Ireland, sorry.
Let's start that debate.
But I'm sure Rab knew where he is. Well, hopefully.
Yeah, okay.
Hopefully anyway, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a wonderful guest for you. I love when we have harpists on the show. We haven't had that many harpists on the show, but I think it's an incredible instrument. And I love hearing that. And it's just such an expressive instrument. I think it's really,
is that because the opposite of a harp is an accordion?
Yeah. Heaven and hell. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you've got it. There we go. So, but anyway, this young lady we're bringing on tonight, really looking forward to her coming on. She's studied at the Conservatoire in Glasgow, originally from the west coast of Scotland, as we will talk about during the interview, and how she got involved with playing harp music. She has built up her career, and we'll also be talking tonight about her new album that she's brought out, etc. So I'm sure we'll have lots to talk about, actually. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Becky Hill. Hiya, Becky.
Hi. Welcome. Hi, Pierre. Hi, Davey. Yeah. Hi, Luna.
Howdy.
Yeah, we do hope you've got plenty to talk about, as Davey says, because it's going to be a rather short night otherwise.
I know, pressure's on. I suddenly have to try and find some stories.
We have found over the years, something, doing this show now, sometimes the people we think that are going to have lots to say are very quiet. And sometimes it's the opposite. The really quiet performer on stage has got lots to say. It's really funny. It's strange how it goes. We can't ever tell. Anyway, wonderful you could come on with us. You're in Glasgow tonight. You were telling me earlier on you're in Denniston in Glasgow. But you're originally from Oban. Or near Oban. You're from Connell.
Yeah.
So were you brought up in there your whole time then? Is that where you were from? Is that where you went to school?
Yeah. So just by Connell Bridge, as you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
So I've been there my whole life. And I moved to Glasgow in 2013, but I do try to go back as often as I can because it's lovely. It's so lovely. It's a great.
Well, it's a beautiful place.
Not that far.
It's not that far unless there's a camper van on the A82.
It takes a wee while. Yeah. Is Gary Ennis not built a house up there just recently?
I think so. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of Connell as well. Gary's built a house up there. But no, it's a lovely part of the world, and we used to travel up and down there, going up down to playing Oban, and then of course going over to playing Mull, and it's just been Mull Festival. It was the weekend before last, I think, or last weekend.
Yeah, I think so.
So anyway, Oban, right? What got you into the harp playing?
Do you know, it was there was a bit of a mixture of things, but it was a good time in Oban for the harp. There was a teacher, or the clársach. It was a teacher, Tony Russell,
Right.
And she kind of came back. So I think she might have been at the time maybe doing her master's in music or degree in music, and maybe as part of that, got involved in teaching and kind of bringing the harp back to Oban. And it was lovely. There was about 12 of us or something that were all learning around at the same time. But I think my first kind of taste of playing it was that would have been at the Feish that was there, so Feish Lahanya, which I just taught at there. It runs in April time, and it's like a week long kind of workshops from 8 to, if you're aged 8 to kind of 15, and you get to kind of try 4 instruments a day. And I think I just seen the one and I thought that'll be mine, but it's conveniently sized one.
The Feish movement has been incredibly successful now over the years for. And that's the nice thing I think about the Feish movement, is it, as you say, it lets you try different instruments.
Oh yeah.
So you're not just stuck to one, because sometimes people think, I want to play such and such, and then actually when you get your hands on it, you're like, no, I don't, or this thing just doesn't want to play me, kind of style thing. That happens as well, and then you find your own instrument that you really like. So it's probably, I think the Feish works really, really well in that way. But and as you said, that a tutor coming into an area, especially when it's something so specialised, it's incredibly lucky when you have a tutor in an area, because it's like wee pockets that you get. That you see that in the country with different instruments, you know, that there's a specialist teacher and all these players come for that area, and you think, but if you had more teachers all over, there'd be all these players all over the place. So so it's really good to, and lucky just happen be that a really good teacher comes along. So is it not quite an expensive instrument to pick up to begin with, though?
It is, but there's a fantastic with the Clársach Society. They do a great kind of where you can rent a clársach, and it's great because unlike with the fiddle and accordion, I feel like when you first start learning, you can get kind of rubbish, kind of small ones, just as a very much beginner. And I just feel like the harp's not really an instrument that you can do that with without kind of building your own. It kind of starts very expensive, kind of from people. So
I've always felt as a music teacher in schools and that right through all my days. So you know when you see that famous advert in a newspaper, piano would suit beginner, which means it's knackered usually, and it's the worst thing you could ever give a beginner, because how's a beginner ever supposed to know what sounds right if the instrument's horrible, you know? And I can see that point with a clársach or a harp, that if you're not playing something good, how would you ever know that something's in tune or out of tune? Or...
For example, according to a certain brand that we'll mention later, student harp is about $3,000.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
For a student harp.
Gee whiz.
34 strings.
I know. Yeah. It is hard. And I think, I can't remember how much the Clársach Society rent them out for. I think maybe it's about £30 a month, which isn't too bad, but at the same time adds up. So if you know how long do you wait before you buy one, and it's a tricky thing. But
great.
Then you get people who just buy them and keep them in their houses because they think a harp looks fancy.
I know, hang it on the wall. You get that with bagpipes as well. Really nice sets of bagpipes hanging on the wall like an advert. You know?
I don't know if you'd have a harp hanging on the wall right now.
Anyway, listen, we go and have a track of music, because there's all these folks out there. Folks, remember, if you want to put in any comments or ask Becky any questions or anything like that, please do, and we'll sort them out for there. What we're going to have to begin with, we are having, how do we say it? Clársach.
Yeah.
Tell us about that one, Becky. What's that?
So this is a tune I wrote. It's a march I wrote. And I put it together during COVID time, I think. Not to bring that back up, but it was recorded in the flat, so everything was very much DIY. And then because it was going down that, well, it was recorded by Graham Rory and mastered by Chris Waite, and Charlie Stewart came in and played some fiddle at one point. And
to be fair, then you said it was recorded in the flat, but these guys do know quite a bit about what they're doing, right enough.
Yes, they absolutely do.
Pretty good. Yeah.
They absolutely do, yeah, which was fantastic. And then the video, it was a DVD I'd found of old Cinecam footage, and it was of my grandparents, and then my mum and her family. I think my mum is in the video when she's about 2 or 3, and it's all of them kind of around the farm. And Dalranach was the name of the farm. So it's just old footage for them. So I kind of put it together again because we couldn't go out and do music videos and things like that. So it was very much a kind of try out of that. But no, it was lovely to make and look back in the memories and things. It was lovely.
Great. Here we go. Yeah, lovely.
Oh,
That's a really nice recording. That's a lovely recording.
I was going to say, for a kind of flat recording during COVID, it was really bad.
Oh, they did. I was nothing to do with the recording. They did such a lovely job, and I think as well because no one had really seen each other in a long time. I think it was lovely putting the video together because you're suddenly seeing family that you couldn't kind of go back up the road at the moment, to go and see and things. And no, it was lovely to put it together. It was nice.
Did you see the pile of pigs there?
What's that?
There was a pile of pigs at one point in that film.
Yeah, there was. With the wee baby, with the wee piglets, and
a pile of them. There's heaps of them.
Yeah, there was. Yeah. It was also, I think my mum is that she's the baby in there, and I think she wears about 5 crazy hats. There's one at the very start. I don't know if it was like a cone, and it was just old fashioned.
So, really good.
So from learning the harp in Oban or school, what happened next?
Well, I did. kind of harp and piano through school. I did a lot of piano with Sheila Sinclair, a box and a piano player from back home, and actually my cousin as well. Which is handy. There's a lot of, obviously being from Connell, there's a lot of musicians in there. I've related to all of them, which was really handy.
That's really interesting you say that. I was just thinking earlier on when you said Oban, I was going to say I know Sheila Sinclair quite well, the piano player, because Sheila's has been up there playing and all that kind of stuff. And I've known her for years. We're going to Mull festivals and things like that. So Sheila's is your cousin. Sheila's a great player, great box player, great piano player.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Yeah, so I don't think Sheila's definitely wouldn't have been in that video, but her dad and Neil would I think Neil and Sheila maybe were both in there. So Neil Sinclair and Sheila Sinclair. So yeah, her dad's my granny's and brother. But yeah, and so I did a lot of music with them, kind of going through high school and then eventually went to the Conservatoire, as it's called now, in Glasgow in 2013. So yeah, that's when I moved down here 10 years ago.
10 years.
Wait a minute, was it the Conservatoire when you went there then? Was it?
I think it just changed to the Conservatoire, either when I went into first year or when I went into second year. I think that was when the name changed. And the course changed as well. It was meant to, I think it was a BA before, and then halfway through my time there it changed into a BMAS. I don't know if there's any difference between them. But,
all right. Okay.
But yeah.
So I'm just looking at the name change. 2011, the name changed.
Oh, was it? So I think I moved to, maybe I was 2013 or 2012. So yeah, it would have just been just before.
Soon after, yeah.
Yeah.
So as part of that, was it the two instruments, the clársach and the piano, you kind of focused on?
Yeah, it was. And back then you had to do two instruments as well to be there, and it was great. I had Karina Hewitt and Heather Downey, both them over the time, teaching me clársach. So they're both fantastic harpists. Yeah. And then I had James Ross on teaching me piano as well, who again is just
good player,
composer. So it was always great fun. It was great. Yeah, it was good. A lot of late nights, but it was lovely.
Downey, that's another name from up your area, from Connell. There was a famous band leader called Alistair Downey.
Really?
From up that area in the days past, and he was rated really highly. He was rated with Bobby McLeod and all that.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting. But,
yeah, I'll have to check. Is it box? Did you say?
Yeah. Also good box. Yeah.
So, obviously, we mentioned earlier on that you've been doing some work with Charlie Stewart, who we have had on the show before.
Yes.
So we're going to have another track. We're going to have the track On the Mountain. Do you want to tell us about this one?
Yeah. So this was it wasn't the first track that we released, maybe the second track that we released for the album, and or the first video anyway, and the first live video. And it's a set of two tunes. The first one is an Irish tune that I learned them both from Charlie, and it's an Irish tune from the Handed Down collection. Called Roll Her on the Mountain, and then the second one is the Jovial Journalist, and that's a Cape Breton tune, I think, written by Paul Bamford. I think, yeah. So just two reels.
Here we go.
Very nice. Where did you record that one?
So we record we did the video live with Gus Stirrett from Solo Sounds. He recorded us, and it was in a place called the Free Company. It's lovely. I've not been there for food, but Charlie's brother, Ewan Stewart, is a chef, and he used to work there. And apparently, it's amazing. I think it's out near Edinburgh. But basically, they were so kind. They let us use the space basically for free. However, I think Charlie ended up having to do a New Year Kaylee. I think that's what he had to do just to get the space. But
and you're sitting at home going, "Hello."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Having a dram at the bells, and he's away playing fiddle. But yeah, it was such a lovely space to use. It was freezing though. It was very, very, very cold, but it was lovely. It was really nice.
I want to ask a controversial question.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. We said there'd be no controversial questions before we started.
Obviously, with your experience learning and playing the harp, what is the hardest thing to learn within your teachings of the harp? What is the hardest thing to get smooth or kind of working?
I think maybe, or even just, I'm trying to think, when I teach a lot now, and I think the hardest thing is just patience with the coordination of it, I think is a massive thing. I feel like it's different to if for those like learning fiddle or something like that, where obviously I can imagine one of the hardest things is just intonation and being comfortable with that. But on the harp, I feel like just making sure that your coordination's there and the command on the instrument. It's really I feel like it's not too bad seeing all the notes, being able to see where the melody is. I feel it's not too bad. It's really like a piano except on its side. I think when you open a piano and all the strings are there, it's basically that. But just the kind of command of it and the coordination, just bouncing between your right and your left, just a big patient.
The one thing I've always kind of seen is when you're doing performances yourself or as like pre-arranged performances, the key structure has always got to be decided beforehand, because obviously you have to, with your levers, you're then changing keys and things like that as well. I've always found that the most interesting thing, where in a session, for example, it's a bit harder because you're like, oh, right, onto the minor, okay, flick this, here we go. I always thought that would be kind of the hardest thing.
Yeah, it's a bit harder, but at the same time, it's quite good fun. I feel if you're especially if you're playing in a bit of an improvised setting, and then suddenly people are shouting out keys to you, and you've got to know 4 levers per octave, so you've got 16 levers to try and practice.
That's a lot. And so when you're working with levers, does it knock the strings out of tune at all when you're?
No, so they shouldn't do if they work. So basically, the lever, you've got 2 options. You can raise it a semitone, so just either sharpen it or flatten it by a semitone. And it doesn't. Apart from that, it's kind of function. It doesn't kind of push the string out of tune too bad, unless it's a bit of a dodgy harp or lever.
Yeah, I suppose there is manufacturers out there of lower quality instruments.
Yeah.
Certain very similar countries that make Highland bagpipes of lower standard. I'm assuming that if you were playing one of them, you'd have a lot more movement within the intonation than a well-made instrument.
It's a fascinating instrument for the fact that, I know say bagpipes are affected so much by heat, etc., and guitarists or anything, or fiddle players, but harp, 34 strings for the beginner model there.
I know.
Must be a nightmare sometimes.
It is for things like especially the heat and humidity of a room, and I play a lot of weddings and things as well, just because the harp kind of lends itself to that, and a lot of kind of corporate events. And see, every time you turn up and it's a big church, and you think, oh, there's going to be either no heating at all or just one very specific heater. It's just blowing very hot air, and that's it. And if you get caught in the middle of the harp, just goes a bit all over the world.
Well, they sit you in front of a stained glass window and the sun's bouncing through it or something like that.
Exactly. And you can hear it. It's such a big, it's such a big instrument. You can hear it kind of slowly start.
Starting to
Well.
creak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I play the accordion sometimes.
Yeah,
You're the only one.
Thanks, David.
That's all right. So you mentioned earlier on that you've just released an album. That would be on Friday, I believe. Is that
Yes,
correct?
it was on Friday. Yeah. So
Do you want to tell us a bit about how the album came about first?
yeah, of course. Yeah. In fact, I think funnily enough, I think when Charlie was on your show, I think he mentioned that we were going to be recording, and I remember hearing it and watching the show and thinking, we haven't got any plans to do that. So it's so funny now.
Cheers, Charlie. Thanks for that, Charlie. Yeah.
I know. I think we had plans, but maybe not written in the diary. So it was a good push. I should really be thanking you both for him to. We then had to get something done. But no, we've been wanting to record for ages an album, and it's just finding the time and the space to do it. And we did find the time. So we recorded back in November, we did get we got some very thankful to get some funding from Creative Scotland, and I think as soon as we sent that application away, it has to be exactly 12 weeks from the start of the project. So that kind of just got
Wow.
But yeah, it was great, and so we recorded in Gorbals Sound, such a lovely studio, and we recorded the whole thing in 4 days. I was actually only there for 3.5 days, because on the 4th day I had to fly to Germany to do a tour over December. So it was very, very quick. Finally, I don't have any. I didn't send that video in today, but there's a track where Charlie bows the harp, the bass strings of the harp, and I left the harp in the studio on that 4th day, and he did that while I flew away. So he had.
I'm assuming that wasn't planned. He just kind of thought, she's not here, I'm going to do it.
I'm gonna, no, it definitely was planned. But yeah, it was a bit funny. But yeah, we did the whole thing quite quick, but we wanted it to be as live sounding as possible. So we recorded everything together, and a lot of it, there was a lot of prearranged stuff, and then some of it was we kind of left quite free and kind of moments.
Yeah.
Left moments of improvisation there, which was so lovely. And the room that they had us in kind of had us in 2 different spaces, but it was all glass, so you could still see.
Yeah, still see. Yeah. So I take it doing it that way because it wasn't within a single room. You didn't get any bleed between.
Yeah,
the
there
microphones.
was no bleed at all. Yeah. It was. We were kind of in the 2 side rooms, and then there's a big space in the middle where Kevin and Matthew were tracking, and they had the desk and everything was there. So but no, it was lovely. It was so, and even though it was a fast, it wasn't many days in the studio, it was so comfortable and lovely. And then we didn't actually mix until January or February time. I think it was January. Yes, it was the start of January, and we did that with you and Burton. In Glowworm in the centre of Glasgow. So and that was it wasn't too many days either actually, but no, it was really good fun.
By the way, David,
So
yes. See, there's a comment come in there saying, "I'm glad I play the accordion too."
Oh,
that's from Sheila's, Becky's cousin.
Is she watching? Hi, Sheila.
Yeah, so it's fantastic. Brilliant.
That's nice of her.
Now, we've got and for those of you that are watching, you won't realise the reference to this. We've got a 6-minute video now. So we've got your track Harp and. Can you tell us a bit about this?
Yeah, this was I think this was during the first lockdown, I think, where I applied to do for some funding with it was Tasca, who are a funding body for kind of small grants, and it's really funding for your own self-development, and you can kind of create your own project. And I decided to do a little video series where I would get in touch with people I've never collaborated with, and I tried to get a good mixture of instruments from kind of all around the world, really. And it was such good fun. I ended up on Skype or Zoom loads, arranging with something with someone that you'd never met, and trying to get a set together in a quite a short period of time. And I was trying to work all the videos, and I think looking back now, not a lot of them match up, but it was really, really good fun. Is this the one with Petrus?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Was there any instruments or musicians that were particularly difficult to get to work together with the clársach?
No, probably just maybe me. Maybe I was the difficult one, because they were all very easy. They were great, and they were so excited as well. I think it was a great thing to learn. I think I was always so nervous about getting in touch with people, but just everyone's really interested in creating and making new music and sharing music. And there's never really a time unless someone's busy, and in which case ask them another time and they'll want to do it. And I think I was it wasn't too long out of university by that point. I graduated in 2017. Yeah, it was great. Just everyone to be so excited. It was good.
The first I came across that kind of thing was when I was done my uni course as well, and it was this collaboration on the internet, etc. And 10 years before that, I mean, I done my course 10 years ago, but 20 years ago, you wouldn't have dreamed of doing that. Because it couldn't happen. And then when it became like recording and somebody sending you a track and you could put it into your Pro Tools at home and then play along with it and so on like that, it made the world tiny and it also made the options you had huge, because at one point in time there might have been an album and you were wanting 40 seconds, a special flautist for Peru or something. Well, there's no way you were going to fly that guy for Peru to come just to record 40 seconds. So you'd have left it off. You'd have ended up just not doing it. Whereas now you can do it, which is just amazing. So collaboration's just fantastic now.
It's amazing. I always find it's amazing. It's a wee bit overwhelming because you think, where do I start? Who do I speak to if I can speak to everybody? But I just think just do it and get in touch with. You kind of give yourself 4 people and just go and do it, and it's great fun. It's good.
Fab.
So what instruments do we have on this today?
So this is just myself, and so all of the videos were duo. Maybe one I did a trio, but this one's a duo. Me and Petrus. So he plays the nickel harp, which I had never really. I still haven't actually played along with anybody who plays it in person. Obviously, this was all online, but it's such a cool instrument. Really. Cool.
Gavin Marwick.
Oh yes, that was right when we had Gavin on. He knew about them.
I'm trying to remember what her name is.
The
Firelight Trio. His partner Ruth Morris plays the nickel harpa.
Oh, I'm gonna.
And she's in Edinburgh, I believe.
Yeah.
Ruth Morris. Yeah. So here we go. Here's something for the show. Here we go.
That's wonderful. I could have listened to far more than 6 minutes of that. That's great.
Everyone,
Really interesting. That's the nickel harper then, is it?
yeah.
Now, I was doing a thing a couple of weeks ago in class with the kids, and we were doing in school music, and we were just doing a thing about Vikings. Obviously, been up here in Shetland, etc. And we were looking back at all the old Viking instruments, what we thought they had, kind of like drums and things. Horns were a big thing with them, kind of sheep horns and goat horns. But there's a thing called a taggle harper, and it is very similar. The same kind of idea thing, quite a basic looking instrument. But I think the nickel harper, does it have keys on it? I'm not sure.
I feel like there's a very high chance I'll get this wrong, but I think basically the keys end up pushing in the strings like frets, like blowing it as well. But yeah, because they've got the bows and it looks the most complicated instrument to play, and Pet just makes it look so easy. I just feel like he's so happy. It's just bobbing along, and
which leads on to an odd question that came in there from Alan Monroe saying, I noticed somebody else earlier on asking, did clársach players, they didn't see you using any picks, but do clársach harp players ever use picks? No, it's always your fingers, is it?
No, just their fingers, and I use like my fingertips. But you do get people who use their nails as well, and will file their nails. Most of the time, that's a smaller wire string harp. Not all the time. You do get gut string harps as well that play with their nails, but I don't. I play just with my fingertips. Yeah.
Oh, this is all very interesting tonight. We're getting the.
You sound surprised, Peter.
No, I'm really enjoying this. I like this thing about ancient instruments as well, and of course the harp falls into that category because it goes right back to whenever. I mean, we kind of.
Yeah.
Egyptians had little hieroglyphs of harps and things.
Yeah. I'm sure they found one. I can't remember, but I'm sure it's even more closer to us than Egypt, where they found one in a cave, like all engraved and date back to Pictish times here. And it's mad. And obviously they would have slightly different shapes, and you wouldn't have things like the levers where you could see me moving. All that's actually very, very modern.
And with the Pictish thing, I think there's quite a lot of Pictish stones that are going about Scotland that have got like a harp engraved on and things. There is engraving somewhere. I'm sure I saw something with a harp.
Apparently, the earliest harps and lyres were found in Sumer, which is near what was Mesopotamia. 3500 BCE.
Yeah.
So that's about 6 weeks before Peter was born. So, yeah.
I can remember that. Just about, but it's amazing. But I'm sure, and there's such good stories, isn't there, about harps? That's the thing. Harps, it's like a folklore legend in itself. There's all these stories. It's not just the music. It's just a great thing. Because when you're looking at the Irish bards and the harpists that taught and the different ways they taught and things, it was just.
There's all these amazing kind of tales and books. I remember I used to spend so much time in the library at the conservatoire when I was there, and you'd find all these books about how a couple or a prince and a princess were walking along a beach, and they'd found a whale, and the bones of the whale were taken to build this harp, and when they played it, something magical happened, and all these kind of like fairies around. But it's amazing, so many folk tales like that, and so many tunes inspired by things like that.
And I'm sure I read somewhere once or something about that quite often in court, it was a blind person that played harp as well, because it was something they could sit and learn. As being blind in these days, there wasn't just an awful lot you could do, but you could play the harp. And also harpists, if they were naughty, if they were bad, they used to cut their nails or something, didn't they? And then they couldn't play properly or something like that.
Maybe. I've never heard that, but I wouldn't be surprised, because I mean, back in the day, you would be playing with your nails, so I wouldn't be surprised.
That's right. So they used to cut their nails, and then they couldn't do anything for 3 months till they grew back or something. It's crazy. But there we go.
As you mentioned before, Becky, you play for weddings and corporate events, but according to your website, you played for the gentleman who was the Prince of Wales, the future King Charles III.
Yes, I did a few years ago. I did that, funnily enough, with Charlie again. Yeah, I do play with other people. Not maybe, but yeah, with Charlie. That was a lovely event. It was at St. Giles.
Okay, yeah.
Edinburgh.
All right.
I think it was. I can't even remember what it was for. But yeah. Yeah. I got to play some lovely for corporate event kind of stuff like that. Some lovely ones up at Edinburgh Castle and things as well. And you'd never be allowed to know who was going until you got there. No. It was always
I used to do a lot of stuff at Gleneagles.
Yeah,
and I did a gig one year, and it was the owner of Gleneagles at the time, who was the owner of Diageo.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It was his 60th birthday party, and that's fine. Not big name, but not really somebody you'd know to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but one of the guests was Tina Turner.
No way! Oh wow! Oh,
yeah, you're like, okay, fine.
Do you remember the fellow? I think it was it Alan? Alan Gardner. One of the guests we had on turned up to play at Hopetoun House at a wedding, and it was J.K. Rowland's wedding as well, and it was all kept quiet. But once when I was playing up here, I met Princess Anne, because she was the patron. She's the patron of UHI, and she came over and she said it's kind of the same thing. You didn't know I was going to be here today, did you? And I said to her, you didn't know I was going to be here either, did you?
You got the right.
So that was that. Yeah. But she was quite good fun, and she laughed.
Yeah.
It's when you go, you didn't know I was going to be here, did you? Because it was supposed to be Alan Small that was doing the gig.
What was that?
Along those lines. It says, you didn't know it was me, because it was supposed to be Alan Small that was doing the gig. Yeah, no, but that's it. They're always on very jovial.
Aye, no,
and things like that. No, it's always interesting when you turn up to a corporate gig and you try and play spot the previous person.
Oh yeah. And then you can't help but stare at them the whole time. So I always find that I'll be playing and then I'll see it from the corner of my eye, and then that'll. What are they up?
I didn't realise once when we were in Brazil and the woman came up and said she liked her kilts and all that it was Liza Minnelli. I didn't recognise her. I didn't know who it was.
Oh my goodness.
One of the other boys said that was Liza Minnelli.
And what can you say to that? What can you say?
She said she would stay at a lake. We were all staying in this hotel because we were out playing for the St Andrews Society, and it was the Copacabana Palace or something. It was really, really nice. And anyways, one of them said, where was her band staying? She had like a 20-piece, and she said, oh, they were down in a youth hostel down the road somewhere. They were bombed. But there we go. All good.
Let's see how good your general knowledge is, Peter. Just who was Liza Minnelli's? Who was Liza Minnelli's mother?
Judy Garland.
Judy Garland. Yeah. See
that, eh?
That's amazing. Tina Turner and Liza Minnelli. That's it. I don't want
That's it.
Maybe was trying to catch me, wasn't it? Who was the piper? Who was the piper we had on the show that done a lot for the king to be as well? Remember,
which one?
Mind Dumfries House. There was a piper.
Well, Craig Muirhead.
Craig, yeah. I think
Scott Garden, Kyle Howie, Lorne McDougall. as well.
Yeah, they've possibly all done stuff, haven't they? Yeah.
It's all gigs through the National Piping Centre.
Yeah, yeah, I remember them all doing that stuff. So.
It's all good. We are going to have another track. And
Magic.
the next track is called Out on the Roof. This is track number 4 from the new album.
It was the first single that came out in the month before April, March, the 24th of March. Yeah, and it was, we knew we were going to do live videos for a few of the tracks, but this one Charlie plays, he's obviously playing fiddle, but he's playing strings in the background as well. There's a couple of different layers of strings, and also he's playing a fiddle with octave strings on it as well, so it's a lot lower. It's almost like in the same register as a viola, and so we thought we're not really going to be able to do a live video of him swapping between 2 different sounds. So
so when we introduce this, do we have to say, here's Becky with Charlie Stewart? There are other fiddle players and viola players available.
I know.
But,
I know. I know. It looks like they did it on the cheap and not hired more musicians. No, it was great to record, because obviously we put down the 2 parts together, and then I just left and he just sat and put more and more strings on. But he also made this video as well. He did it on his iPad. He was desperate to do an animation. And so he put it together. So it's a little bit DIY, but we thought it was good fun.
Remind us, in case people are joining us and not joining us in between that, what's the new album called?
The new album.
We've not got that bit yet later on.
Oh, we've not got there yet?
No, I've got a plan, Peter. Come on.
Sorry. Right, okay.
The new album's called Da Da Da. Wait.
Here's the next track.
Stay tuned. very good.
I definitely think that Charlie's got a chance of going into animation if the music career doesn't work.
I think I couldn't believe it when he showed me I really didn't know what to expect when he said that he was going to give it a go, but yeah, he did really well. I thought it was very sweet. We didn't have a storyline or anything. He completely came up with that himself.
The only thing is, there was a parachute came out of a helicopter. Is that possible? I'm not
Of course
sure.
it is.
I thought if it's a helicopter, you'd get souped up the way and.
Only if you deploy it too quickly.
Oh, right, okay.
Gravity, Peter. Gravity.
I'm just glad there was a parachute when I first seen it and seen the helicopter go down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then no.
I thought the helicopter was going to hit the bird at one point in time, and then the whale came along, and I thought, yes, well,
yeah,
that's good.
Bit of a laugh.
So we've got another couple of tracks coming up from your new album. Do you want to tell us a bit about the new album and what it's called? Thanks, Peter.
Yeah, of course. So
Yeah, tell us, Becky, what's the new album called again?
The new album is called Thawcrook. So it's just one word, Thawcrook, which is an old farming tool or crofting tool. Have you heard of it before? Because I had never heard of a Thawcrook, but a couple of people had heard of the tool. And it was basically used to make rope from things like marram grass and heather and things like that. And they would collect that kind of natural materials from the ground, and then it would be intertwined to make rope, and then that would be rope that was used for crofting or for like putting roofing onto houses and things like that. We would be back. So yeah, we love the idea of it kind of taking things from the natural landscape and kind of intertwining them, and the idea of threads and everything, just with there's 38 strings between the fiddle and the harp, but we just love the idea of kind of interweaving and stuff like that. So Thawcrook.
It's also really good.
Ladies and gentlemen out there, have you heard of this?
Yeah, let me know if you have, because I hadn't, but we have bumped into somebody who has.
Yeah.
The only thing is that if you type in Thawcrook into Google, all you get is your album.
Yeah, it's very handy. Yeah, there was hardly, I can't remember where we found, well, Charlie found the name, but he was on a page and it was something like, I don't know if it was like once a week, there's an old croft or farming tool that's showcased on this really old article or something like that. It's a really interesting find, but it took me ages to find where he'd even seen it. But it's very strange, and even the tool itself isn't that. It's a weird shaped thing, but we love the kind of.
Katie Sutherland says she loved every minute of the video. Katie, so did I. I wasn't having a go at the video. In fact, I'm going to speak to Charlie next folk festival I see him at and see if we can come up with a video for my accordion tunes.
Oh, he'd love it.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Be really interesting, that one.
Now that could be used for your new album, Peter, the Free the Shetland Whales.
Free the Shetland Whales. Yeah. That's me sunbathing on the beach on a Wednesday. Yep. Right. And but you know, what was I going to say? That you've thrown me there with the whales thing now. Completely.
Illustration.
Yeah, but the illustration thing, that would be really interesting to come up with more stuff like that, to be honest. I think it would be really good.
Yeah, the animation, yeah. Oh, it was lovely. And it works really well with I felt like just the colours and the style and everything worked well with the album artwork that we had painted by Orla Stevens. She's an amazing artist. I think she's done quite a few people's albums that you've probably come across as well. But she painted the album artwork onto a big canvas and then obviously put it down and added graphics and things to it. And the album artwork is it's kind of meant to be a kind of map, and it's got like a thread from Oban to Perthshire kind of area, because that's where Charlie's from, and it's meant to kind of. But obviously the thread's meant to have been made by the Thawcrook, if that makes sense. So.
There is Dave Cormack's put on. I think that they showed that tool on Country File the other night, and then he put on, or it was maybe Landward.
Probably more likely to be Landward, to be fair, but yeah.
So that's quite interesting if that tool has actually just turned up.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting because
Yeah.
you can now use that and say, you can use that to, you can say even Landward or whatever one it was on, you can say even they heard about our new album and featured this tool because nobody heard it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been rediscovered by Charlie. Oh yeah, there's the artwork there. Yeah, so there is a wee description of the Thorcrook, but it's very small writing in the bottom left there, and then it's meant to be a bit of a map.
Made rope out of straw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So yeah, that's it.
So are you going to go on a wee kind of tour or anything, or a launch for the album coming out?
Yeah, we have a few gigs coming up over summer. We're the launch is on the 13th of May in Oban. So we're starting off in Oban. It's actually the day Charlie comes back from a tour. He's in Asia at the moment. He's going around Cambodia at the moment. And as you do, yeah. He was on tour with Siobhan Miller in Australia. And then he decided to stay out there and come back the long way around. So he's going via Asia. And he's actually going to Denmark to see Carney. They're doing a tour out there. And then the day he comes back is pretty much the day of album launch in Oban. So
it's funny you mention Siobhan Miller, Becky, because our guest next week is Siobhan Miller.
Oh, great. Oh, lovely.
You know, another thing there, tying in, I've noticed more and more recently that there's more people going to Australia to play again.
Yeah.
There seems to be a scene opening up there a bit again.
Yeah.
Because for many years it was just kind of barren and there was not very much to go to in Australia. But I know because I think Iona Fife's there just now as well.
I think so, yeah.
She's in Western Australia, I believe.
Yeah, but that's quite interesting. That's nice to see the world opening up a bit, and especially Australia opening up a bit like that again. That's quite good.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say earlier on. Remember when you said about Googling the name of the album and it goes straight to your CD? Remember the guest, was that last week's guest that told us about a piece of music or her album that she brought out?
It was Ron Block last week.
Was it Ron? And he said about one piece that was... No, was there not somebody said the week before about one of their tunes? They couldn't understand why the video was getting so many hits. It got thousands of hits, and it turned out it was
Claire that said that.
It was Claire Hastings.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
And it was to do with it was in a video game, wasn't it? The same
game or something. Yes. Yeah, I did see that. Actually.
Yeah.
So just going back to your up-and-coming gigs, you've got the Rockfield Centre in Oban on the 13th of May. You've got the Glasgow Art Club on the 7th of June. You're in Fife at Footle Records on the 9th of June, and then up to Inverness for the Acoustic Music Club on the 5th of July.
5th of July, and then it's not up yet, but we're going to Glenfarg Village Hall on the 19th of August. And then we have a couple other things lined up for the end of the year, which aren't out yet. But yeah, so we're really excited. So Glenfarg's not, but that's the 19th of August. So it's lovely because that's where Charlie's from. So we're starting and ending.
No, that's very good.
So yeah, it'll be good fun.
I lived in Glenfarg for a summer once. I stayed there for about 6 months.
It's beautiful. Why? I love it. It was two very conflicting.
I don't think I had anywhere else to stay at the time, so I went. No, I knew the guy that owned the hotel at the time, so I went and stayed for him.
Yeah. The hotel's not there anymore.
I heard that. Yeah, I did hear
the
that.
Hotel's got houses now.
It was a beautiful old hotel as well.
Yeah. So, another video, and this time we have a special guest joining you.
Charlie Stewart. No.
Other fiddle players. It's their album. They can be on it if they want. No, we have another special guest. Do you want to tell us a bit about this track and the special guest, please, Becky?
I could do. I can't remember what track you're about to play.
The last track in the album.
Oh, yes. Yes. Trying to think who it was. So we have Misha McPherson singing on this track. I absolutely love Misha's voice. She's talented. And we were so lucky that she came in on day 4 of the recording, of the 4 days of recording. and yeah, she introduced us to this beautiful song. I can't remember how to pronounce it. I always say Young Angus because I think that's what it is. But is it Inuj or something like that?
Interestingly, Alan Monroe put that comment in there as well. Did you see that last comment, Davey? The one about any Gaelic, any Gaelic influences in the compositions. Did you feel there were?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I'm not fluent in Gaelic, but I did do a lot of it, and through school and also through music and things like that, and teaching as well. It's always something that I try and kind of incorporate with my playing and my teaching, and but also just the melodies, especially round robin. So many of them are Scottish Gaelic.
I'm sure you've got a lot more Gaelic than Davey and me. Anyway,
I have no idea. Maybe not. I feel like I wish mine was a lot better than it was. And there's so many places to practice it. I'm pretty sure there's cafes and things where people kind of get together in Glasgow and do that, to practice that. I need to do that.
That's because you've got like 90% of the Gaelic musicians all live in Glasgow.
I know, that's true. Yeah, that is.
But it's really interesting because I thought about trying to learn Gaelic at one point, but learning in Shetland would be really difficult because there's no speakers really. And if you had cafes you could go to and sit and try and speak to people or something, that would be really good.
Yeah, it makes a huge.
If you want a really good laugh, Becky, go back to our episode that we announced that we were on the Trad Awards with Joy Dunlop.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Joy to translate for us.
Yeah, it was easier.
Joy's actually from where I'm from, Same Village. She's just.
Oh, that's right. She's up there as well. She's a famous place. She's lot come from up there. We got all the stars that have come out of this little village.
We it's lovely. There's a lot of and there's always so many Kayleys and things in the village, which is lovely. But yeah, well, Misha sings in this one, and the video was done at the Free Company as well, the same place. We got 3 videos done that whole day, and she had to sit in that cold room and wait for hours and hours and hours until her song at the end, and she never moaned once. She was amazing. She was
professional to the end.
Professional. Yeah.
Let's have a wee listen.
Kun schenig bibel is prachtig. Ga ik je nog gloeien. Ja, ik hier ook en dat is. Ze mag graag toch goed koren. Na mooie toerist like jou. Kom je dan te varis. Nou, hoest toch cieľach, nach pokryjala našu. Ach, než oj kriví, ach, než oj kriví. Ach, než oj kriví. Ach, než oj kriví.
Fantastic. Enchanting.
Did you hear the cockerel at the end? I think it goes off about 4 times.
I listened to it earlier, like, there's something there.
Yeah. It's a farm, it's a restaurant, but it's all they grow all their own vegetables and everything and have all their own,
Including their chickens.
yep. They wouldn't be quiet, but it was quite effective. It was
Yeah, there could have been worse animals to join in, I suppose.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But,
No, lots of people messaging and saying that it was fantastic.
Yeah.
There was even some Gaelic comments there. Did you see that?
yeah, I did see that.
They could be saying anything about you and me, Davey, in that Gaelic comment. Anything.
If they're having a go at you and me, they're leaving somebody else alone. And I stand by that out. So, apart from the album tour and the other gigs, what is the plan going forward, Becky?
Got a good mixture of stuff coming up, really. I'm doing some recording again in a couple of weeks' time, with a lovely group of musicians, which I don't know.
And Charlie Stewart.
He's not in this one, and it's so funny because I
Oh,
thought,
poor Charlie. Poor Charlie will be feeling really left out now. You've not included him.
the reason I thought he was I was asked to come in as sort of like a session musician and to record in this EP, and I was put into a group chat and it had everyone listed, and there's a few people, but there was a fiddle and it said Charlie, who I just assumed was, but it's not, it's Charlie Gray instead.
Oh, yeah.
It's worth the life. But I just thought for ages that I was Charlie Stewart. I just assumed, just because I'm so used to seeing that. But,
He'll still be where is he? Indonesia or somewhere. He'll still be.
Who's that? Charlie Stewart?
Yeah.
Yes, I think he's in Cambodia.
Cambodia, I know it is.
Yeah.
Peter's geography's not great.
Although I know he was in Vietnam, so I'm not 100% sure where he is. But yeah, so doing some recording. So that's in a couple of weeks' time for some new music that's coming out. So really excited about that. And then just a mixture of stuff. Yeah, me and Charlie are doing this kind of tour, and then we're hopping over to Spain in September, to the north of Spain, to do a couple of things out there, and then and yeah, just a good mixture of stuff.
So when you mentioned Cambodia and things, I remember when I was doing what was it called? It's when we were doing through lockdown and that, and we were using the online teaching, etc. And the Western Isles have been using format for a while, and I can't remember what it was called, but it doesn't really matter what it was called. They were teaching online videos because of the remoteness of places, and there was a family from the Philippines had moved to the Western Isles and were living there, and one of the children was getting fiddle lessons online, learning Scottish music, fiddle. They moved back to the Philippines, but they requested would they be able to keep having the fiddle lessons? And they said, yeah. So because you can do it anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
But I always thought, I wonder wherever it is they live in the Philippines, I wonder what the neighbours think on a Sunday night when the lessons start or something like that. And they're all sitting there listening to Mrs. McCloudy Rassie blasting or something like that and thinking, what's going on here?
Yeah, or playing a 2/4 or something.
Yeah, that's right. Donald McQueen, Sorority Open. What's going on here? What's this all about?
Half a dozen polkas.
Yeah, it's amazing that the teaching on. I do a lot of teaching online. A lot of it is online now, and I feel like I never did that before. Obviously, lockdown, and then now so much of it's in Zoom, and I do a few lessons kind of out in Norway, and then just all kind of over. It's great. It's really great because you just get that kind of like different influences in their music, and they want you to teach stuff from where they're kind of from, and you get to kind of go and do a bit of investigating and learn new stuff through them. So it's
well, it sounds like you're incredibly busy. You've got stuff like that coming up. You've got this album launching, and remember the album can be got on your website, or
yes,
does it point you to it?
Yeah, it's on Bandcamp. If you find that, it will be available in a couple of other online shops, I'm sure too. But all that info is on my website or on my social media.
You'll get links to that, folks. So please go on.
And a couple of people I've seen spot while I've been on here. So thank you if who's watching.
Excellent. Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's what we want to see. The other busload is just waiting till the show's finished, and then they're all going to go and buy it too. Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah.
So, listen, Becky, thank you so much for coming on. It's been absolutely wonderful having you on tonight. It's been a really nice chat. And have we got a video to play out on as well?
We are going to play out with another track from the album. This one is
called what album? What album's that again? What album?
Some stick.
Agricultural thing for making binder twine or something. Yeah.
It's funny because every time I say Thorkruk, people go, "Can you spell that?" And then I go, "It's almost exactly how it sounds."
But now you mention it, TH.
Yeah, it's TH.
Well, it's a wonderful thing because people are going to speak about it and find out about it. So that's perfect.
Yep.
That's cool. That's great. But thank you so much. Thank you.
No, thanks so much for having me.
So tell us a bit about this last track.
Yeah.
So funnily enough, this track was this was filmed a few years ago, and we recorded this as a single. So it's been re-recorded on the album now. So the track on the album is a little bit different, but this video we did do a couple of years ago. It was by Sandy Butler, I think he's an amazing videographer, and it was in the Stravagan pub in Glasgow. It's where we filmed this at Christmas time. That's why there's fairy lights, and so I loved the video, and then suddenly realised that we probably couldn't use it if it was out with the Christmas season. It's very fairy lights everywhere and Christmas decorations, but yeah.
Some folk put their decorations up in October now. You're all right.
That's very true. Yeah. Maybe
some folk put their decorations up just to do music videos.
Yes. That's very true. And it's
we're not naming names.
I know I should stick to Charlie doing the animation instead. But so this one's two traditional tunes. The first one Loch Mullerdoch. I can never say that word, Loch Mullerdoch. And that was a tune that we learned from the playing of Duncan Chisholm. And the second tune is Let That Stand There, which is another Scottish tune. I can't remember it. I think it's maybe from the Simon Fraser collection. But yeah, two tunes I learned from Charlie.
Brilliant.
Give me 2 seconds. I want to make a comment. Just in 2 seconds, I can find it.
No worries. I've actually seen my mum's been commenting on this as well.
Is that your mum? I didn't want to say. I didn't want to say in case you went. I don't know that woman. Who is that woman?
I don't know that crazy lady.
I can't find it. There was a comment made by Duncan Chisholm regarding the album.
Yes.
I can't find it.
Yeah. Oh, he gave us a lovely. It's on my Instagram, or it's on my Facebook as well. That's
what it was.
On the kind of little release picture on my Insta story, I think today actually maybe. But he gave us a lovely, lovely review. He gave us some really lovely words, and so did Lauren McCall, which I'll put up soon. But which is just great because there's just two people that we've grown up listening to, and Charlie used to have lessons with Lauren at when he was younger, and yeah, it meant a lot. So.
No, it's fantastic. Again, thank you very much for joining us tonight, Becky.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All the best with the album. If you've not bought it now's your chance. Well, Becky's got some time on her hands until she starts doing more gigs. She's got a couple left. There you go.
Look, she'll be delighted to send that. That very one could be in the post to you tomorrow.
This one, I know I should sign it, shouldn't I?
There you go. See?
So here we have another track. Let that stand there. Becky, all the best. And we'll see you again.
Thanks,
Becky.
Bye.
You take care. Bye-bye. What a magic finish.
What
Lovely.
was it?
Lovely person, lovely guest, lovely musician. Great. Just really, really enjoyed it. And managed to sign up her cousin Sheila's to come on to the show sometime as well.
Super.
So it's all good. No, that was a great. Thanks to Becky there. That was a really, really nice show. Really nice interview. Lovely. Good. Davey.
What?
We kind of hit on it earlier, but tell the folks again, who have we got on next week?
We have. Sorry, I had an echo second. We have the fantastic singer, Siobhan Miller.
Absolutely. Absolute natural, this lady, when she comes on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You don't miss this show. It'll be a cracker as well.
We did try to get her all, earlier in the year, but she came back saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not available. I'm in Australia for a month." And you're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I know. Oh, well, somebody has to do it. Like,
I
but
know.
it's one of the things. I'm really looking forward to it. I can't believe it's a year ago nearly, because it's next month we go to the Orkney Festival, and that's where I met Siobhan last year for the first time when I met her. She was on a show with us, and she blew the venue to pieces. It was amazing. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And there was this fiddle player where Charlie Stewart, this guy called Charlie Stewart, he was on the fiddle. Yeah.
Never heard of him. Never heard of him.
No. Anyway, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tonight. I do hope you've enjoyed it. And join us next week with Siobhan Miller. It'll be a super, super show. Have a safe week. Have a happy week. That goes for you too, Davey, and the family.
Like a laugh.
Ladies and gentlemen, good night.